In the multitude of counsel, there is safety. Welcome to the All Things Then podcast, a vision inspired by the truth found in God's Word and designed to inform, educate, and impact you in every way. My name is Akitunde Idowu, and I am your host. Join us as we embark on a journey to becoming a better version of ourselves. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the All Things Then podcast. And, today we are having episode 20. I have a guest on today's episode. But today we have somebody who will be sharing so much insightful knowledge with us on application to universities abroad, specifically schools in the United States of America and United Kingdom. Right. So I'll just read a profile in a little bit so you can have some background as to her personality, right? So her name is Faith Adeleke. She's 19 and she's the first of three siblings born in Lagos, Nigeria, to the family of Pastor and Pastor Mrs. Ademola Adeleke. She had a nursery, primary, and secondary education in Lagos, Nigeria. While in the schools, she held various leadership positions and emerged as the valedictorian upon graduation from the secondary school in 2019. Thereafter, she proceeded to the United Kingdom, where she is currently a Year 2 BSc Adult Nursing student in the University of Hertfordshire, Hatfield. Faith got born again early at the age of 12 and has since then served as a member of the choir and evangelism groups back in the RCCG parishes back in Nigeria and currently on BLW Outfield campus. A strong communication skill, display of empathy, amiable interpersonal relationship, and uncompromising value for excellence easily endear her to people. Her hobbies, of course, include adventurous traveling, soul winning, and making new friends. Ladies and gentlemen of the All Things Then podcast, welcome with me to today's awesome episode, Faith Adeleke. Welcome, Faith. It's so delightful to have you on board today.
Thank you so much, Akin. I'm very excited to be here. Hello, everybody. Lovely to see you today.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we get right to it. Faith, a lot of Nigerians are looking to migrate to the United States of America, UK, or whatever other foreign countries are available, depending on the opportunities that we have. And one of the routes they probably want to take is through academics, right? They want to study abroad. And, while we are not focusing on master's education, because most of our audience are basically teenagers, so our goal is actually to focus on undergraduate studies. So I would like to start with what is the best medium to apply to schools abroad? What is the best way to apply to schools abroad?
Okay, the best way to do that, I would say, is to use an agency. Right? I was doing some research and some inquiry. And okay, I'll use an example. When you go on the website, you will say apply now. And of course, they're going to ask you for the details and things like that. So you can very well go ahead and start off the process by yourself, but then they will end up recommending you to one of their agencies in Nigeria. So to save yourself the stress, I'll just say start with an agency right away. It makes things easier, in my opinion. They are experts, their knowledge, they're in contact with the university that you want to go to. And so they're able to pass information to you better. And all that running around is less when you have somebody doing it for you. So I think so.
Awesome. Thank you very much. In terms of studying overseas, which of these schools or which of these countries rather are the best places to apply to, especially when talking about studying, in terms of healthcare, in terms of, side hustle, which is, I think maybe you guys call it, is it part-time job or something? I don't know. What do you call it over there?
There's part-time job, there's passive income. It has a lot of names, side hustles, all of them.
Yeah, so in terms of, cost of education, work opportunities, accommodation, environment, cultural, inclusion, and many other things like that, what is the best place to apply? Is it UK? Is it US?
Okay, So personally, I was both of them are good, but then again, it depends on you and what you want, right? If it comes to healthcare, I would recommend UK, just because their healthcare system is better. It has a lot upper hand, a lot against US. If it comes to tech, I would recommend US, to go to US. Side hustles and passive income. I feel like the world is too global and nowadays to be restricted to a place. So you can have a side hustle and you can have passive income anywhere you are. You can have that in UK. You can also have that in US. So, and then again, I would say your passion. So it really depends on you and what you want to study. But I would recommend healthcare wise, I would recommend UK. And if you're looking at tech wise, I would recommend US, simply because US is more, they are both first world countries, but US just has a lot more opportunities when it comes to breaking into the tech industry. So that's what I'm saying. And there are some courses that are they're needed everywhere. So I feel like both in UK and US will thrive. For example, engineering. So I feel like either one works very well for that, because I've met quite a number of good engineers here, and I know that there are great engineers in US as well. So
Thank you very much. Let's look at basic requirements now for studying. What are the basic requirements for application and scholarship to schools in the United States of America? What are the things that you're required to have as a student that is applying for undergraduate studies?
okay, yeah. As a student applying for undergraduate studies, is it okay if I say both of them? Because a lot of things
Sure.
are very similar. I can
Yeah.
specify when it comes to one, right? Okay. So in no particular order, because I just wrote down everything in there, right? You need your visa. I'll say that your visa, right? Your passport. So I would say for UK, when you apply as an undergraduate, and speaking from personal experience, you will receive a tier 4 student visa. So that's the kind of visa that I use, right? But in US, there's a different kind of visa. They use letters instead. So my friend in the US received an F1 visa. It's a type of student visa as well for there. So you need your visa. And I would just mention that when coming to UK, when you're coming, you will need a visa form. There's a form you fill out to get a visa, right? You need to have that form handy because you're going to ask you for it. And then you're going to need a letter that is given to you by the embassy in Nigeria. So you can bring it to the airport. You can show them so that you're allowed to enter into the country. Speaking from personal experience, what they gave me was when you apply, you get a temporary visa, right? So when you apply to the embassy, you get a visa, and that visa is just for 30 days. So you're expected to be in UK within that 30 days to get your original visa that is like about 4 to 5 years. So that's what I would say. So you need your visa. You also need a tuberculosis certificate. That's what, if you're coming to UK, they ask me for some. Or I don't mind sharing my documents. Go to the snippet. Yeah. Oh, you can't see, but yeah, something like that. I can't quite show you, but yeah, it's a tuberculosis certificate to show that you don't have tuberculosis and you've gotten the vaccine. It's actually very important here. And the certificate is very expensive. If you lose it, you're going to pay thousands to get it again. So you need that as well. You need proof of financial support. Okay. Yeah, as much as I wish that these countries were nice to international students, they're really not. Okay. So students coming in to study is actually business for them. That's why their fees for international students is outrageous. So you need proof of financial support that you are coming here not to be dependent on them per se, and you can take care of yourself. So there's that. And also to show your school fees. You also need proof of accommodation to show you where you were. So before I came in, I stayed at my accommodation. So I was staying on campus. You need that as well. You need your transcript from high school. Very important. Your transcript from high school. I submitted my transcript from SS1 to SS3. So I would say it helps to give that in. And your WAEC results. I would always recommend WAEC over NECO results because WAEC is more globally acceptable. So I would say go for your WAEC results. You need your WAEC results as well. Yes, I've pretty much mentioned everything. Oh, it also helps I've heard from my friends, it helps to get a certificate of good conduct. It's from the police or something like that. Yeah. So I didn't need it when I was coming in, but I eventually needed it to continue with my nursing course. So I got that. So I would say it's the form that you fill out and then you get, it looks something like this. I can only show you, I think the process, I can't quite show, I'm really trying. Sorry, I think it's by effect, but yeah, it looks something like that. So you will need a certificate of good conduct, just as an extra credit, why not? So that's basically it. And of course, admission letter from the university you're going to. That's why you're coming here anyways. So you need confirmation of acceptance of studies. Yeah, we call it CAS. It's a letter to show that, okay, yes, the school that you applied to, they've said you should come. And of course, that speeds things fast. So yes, I have some other things to talk about, but I want to give you the chance to ask questions because I might most likely mention them when you ask the questions.
Okay, thank you very much. So as a way of recapitulating, you mentioned visa, your visa, you must obtain your transcript from school, you must have your admission letter, you must have a certificate of good conduct from the police. You should have a stable financial account, which shows that, you can actually take care of yourself while you're over there, or if you don't have, at least somebody who is like a family should have.
Yes.
Okay. WAEC results. Which is the transcript, right?
No, WAEC result is different from your transcript. Your transcript is SS1 to SS3, for example, like, where you write midterm exam and end of term exam, all those exams, all those scores, when you cumulate it together, that's your transcript. And then you have your WAEC result. They are two different things.
I get it.
And of course, your birth certificate.
Okay. Now, in terms of visa, when is the best time to apply for visa?
Beautiful question. I would say better safe than sorry. Apply at least 6 months before the start of your degree. That's what I would say. I would say apply 6 months before the start of your degree. I was fortunate to get mine earlier, to apply earlier and get mine earlier because I actually settled on this university quite late. But I would say to be safe in case of anything, because life happens, just apply at least 6 months before the start. So if you want to enter school September, latest by March, you've already started your application. That's what I would say.
Okay, awesome. There's this thing about IELTS exam, people writing IELTS exam. Where is that used? Why is it necessary? And is it also very important for all schools? Do you have to have IELTS certificates for all schools?
Okay, beautiful question. Now, the IELTS exam is the International English Language Testing System. It's just one of those exams to test your English when coming into a country like this. And it's very important for UK and also US. Some schools in US use it. I wrote it when I was coming here. And so, yeah, I would say definitely go for it. Right here. There are also some other English exams you can take. There's the IELTS Academic. There's TOEFL. I've heard of TOEFL. I heard of TOEFL a lot when I was in Nigeria. I just didn't write it. There's Trinity ISE, then there's PT Academics. Those ones are not so common, but I would say definitely write your IELTS. It just helps personally. It's another advantage. I mean, why not? So yeah, it's important.
Thank you.
And also score-wise, because IELTS is divided, it's 4 components, and I would advise you that you aim for at least a 6 in all 4 components and a 6 overall. Some schools will say get a 5. Some schools will say get a 5.5, but personally I like to aim at it's over 9. It's a band of 1 to 9, and I would say aim for a 6 just to be safe, because at least you are above the average. And then yeah.
Thank you very much. I have a question from one of our audience here that says that applying as a first-year student that haven't attended university at all, there are some schools in the USA that still ask for your GPA. How are you expected to go about that procedure?
Okay, that's a very good question. For this, I would say talk to your school if you can get your grade point average, because in my experience, I have not been to university before, like you said. So the best grade point I could get was as a result of my transcript. So I'll say talk to your school to see if they can cumulate your results and provide a grade point average. And if not, try submitting your transcript. And you can also explain to them that the system where you're coming from doesn't necessarily use GPA.
Okay, that works. That makes sense. So let's look at this in terms of SATs. SAT is a term that is also very pervasive in Nigeria, especially for more organized schools. They recommend that their students write SATs. What is SAT exam? What is it used for? And is it necessary when applying to schools in the US or in the UK?
Thank you so much for asking that question. Now, from talking to my friends, and especially people that are in the US, I would say SAT exam is very important. SAT exam is the Scholastic Aptitude Test. It's just a test of English and math. Excuse me. It's a test of English and math. And last time I checked, the score is 1,600. So you are working over 1,600. So the usual pass mark is half, which is like 800 to 850. But I'll say if you are going to US, please write the SAT. Very important, because there are schools that may require it, and then there are schools that may not. But to be safe, just have it. So I would say yes, absolutely go for it.
Okay. So if you're applying to both US schools and UK schools, you would recommend that students write it. Is that what you're saying?
I would recommend it mainly for US. UK too, you can also write it, but we don't really talk about SATs here as compared to US. US, I would say absolutely go for it, but UK, you can pretty much do it as long as you have another English exam that backs you up. So yeah.
Okay. About A levels, right? A levels exam are also written. I think that's the stage between. So in Nigeria, you write JAM, right? Sometimes before writing JAM, students have to take this exam, called A levels, and it's not compulsory. It's not mandatory at all. It's just based on your preference, and all that. So what's your knowledge base about A levels exam? What are the benefits to it? What are the advantages to writing it, and how does that position you in a better place when applying for international admission?
Okay, so I would say that for a lot of schools, A level is not compulsory, except the arts, right? I would say that A level it's equivalent to, it's like a 1-year program or a 2-year program after high school. I would say if you can do it, because again, it's like an extra advantage. It's like, okay, you have your YEC, you have your IELTS, you also have your A level. It just beautifies your portfolio, if that makes any sense. So I would say go for it, but then I would say it's not compulsory. I didn't do it, but then I remember when I was looking at a school in Canada, they required me to do it. So even though we're not talking about Canada, but because I had an experience with A levels, I didn't go through with it. But some schools will require it from you. And I would say just go ahead and do it. It's a one year of extra lessons and class, get the certificate. It definitely boosts you higher, because it's like, oh, okay, so this person has your YEC, this person has this person has this, and this person also has A level. It's just an extra advantage. But then just know that you can do without it. I'm fine, and I didn't do my A levels. So yeah.
All right, great one. Thank you very much. There's a question here from one of our audience too. It says that can an international student start a first-year studies in medicine without having a previous medical degree?
Yes, you can. Last time I checked, and according to my research in US, you might do something called pre-medical degree. And I would say sometimes it helps to do a degree like, let's say, biology or biological sciences. That can then you can transition into medicine. That's what some people do, and it works. It's good for them. But then you can also apply to universities as a first-year undergraduate, and then you can apply for medicine. It's usually a 5-year course in UK. So by the time you do that, you are on your way to becoming a medical doctor. So yes, you don't need any previous medical degree. It helps to get some extra backing in science, because a lot of people I've spoken to, they do something like I said, like pre-med or biological science or anything related to medicine, and then they transition into medical science. But then even if you don't do that, there are schools that will take you fresh as well. So yes.
All right, thank you very much. I've heard of having communicated with a number of people in schools, in foreign schools. I've heard of instances where they cite, in Nigeria, most of our degrees are 4-year courses, some 5-year courses, and maybe those in the medical line, 6 years, right? How is it like over there? Do you have a lesser time to waste? In quotes now, because you have to calculate strike, calculate, those, you have to, your degree is 4 years plus X, because ASU can do its thing, the government can do its thing, right? I mean, I spent about roughly between like 5 years plus in school studying law. You get, for a degree that you're not exactly sure if it's going to pay you well. You get what I'm saying? So how is it like over there? Is it lesser in terms of years? And do you have, more advantage? Because I also know of, for example, Tayo, who is your friend, right, did pharmacy, and it took her 3 years. And I think that also gives her maybe a master's degree or something like that. Am I correct, or am I citing a wrong information?
You're correct.
Exactly. So, and that means that, unlike some other people who will be applying to go and do their master's, she doesn't have to do that again. She just goes for maybe like a PhD or something like that. How does that work? Please, can you explain that to us?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just remembered. Actually, her degree is 4 years, but you're absolutely right, because when as she's done with the pharmacology, she comes out fully qualified and registered. I would say honestly, it's better here, especially because of the strike and ASU strike, government strike, all of that. It doesn't happen here, right? I would say that nursing here takes shorter time. Now, my degree is 3 years, right? But in Nigeria, it's 4 to 5 years to be a nurse. So I would say it's definitely better abroad. It's definitely better here, simply because personally, when I made up my mind to come to university, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do what it is, as long as there's no strike. That's one of the things that made me run away from Nigeria, because I was like, I don't want to spend 7 years on a 4-year course, please. I'm going to cry. So that's I would definitely say, please go for it. Like, it's way different here, and also things are more organized. That there's a system, there's a structure, so everybody follows like a particular system or structure, and there's no spontaneous change in here. So there I would say absolutely, you are told things ahead of time. In my experiences, they have never had a surprise test or a surprise. Everything is told ahead. You are told months in advance, and there's also provision for extension. There's provision to retake some things, to resit some things. They are more accommodating, quite frankly, than Nigerian universities. So yes, that's what it is like.
All right, so I think we'll start packing our bags to come over to UK and
Please
US.
come
Everyone.
over. I want everybody to come here.
All right, so there's a question here about somebody saying, if I want to study at MIT, will I have to start all over from year 1 when I'm already in year 2 in a Nigerian university?
Okay, so for that, I would say it depends. To be very honest, I would say it depends. For Institute of Technology, it depends. There are provisions for to switch in or like glide into a course if possible. But then personally, I would say that there are provisions to come and to glide in or move in. But then again, it depends on if you're already, what you've done already is recognized by MIT University. But I'll say, to just be safe, just start again. Yeah, I will just say start again. Okay, plus I think there are extra advantages of starting again, because you're starting fresh and you are coming into the system fresh. And in my opinion, you gain new knowledge, even though it looks like as if you are repeating. But don't forget, you're coming to a different environment with a different system of doing things, and it doesn't hurt to just start from scratch. I know so many people that left what they were doing, and I'm not saying that that's you or you have to do it, but I just see that it works better if you start again and just come in as a first-year degree. And just know that no knowledge is a waste. Okay, you will always have what you have, but it doesn't hurt to start again.
All right, thank you very much, Faith. Okay, so in terms of considerations, because when you're changing environments, moving from a place like Nigeria, where we have maybe a pretty standardized weather, to an environment where the weather is quite a different thing, a different ballgame entirely. I guess you guys maybe have your your hot season, you have your cold season, winter and summer and whatever it is called, right? What are the considerations you should have in mind when you are translocating or moving to another region like the UK or the US, in terms of weather, in terms of like whatever consideration you can think of, just share with us.
Okay, thank you so much. That's such a beautiful question. I would say when you're coming to UK, pad up, please buy all the cardigans you can buy, all the sweater. I've been in this country for 3 years and the winter still shocks me every time. And heads up, UK weather is so unstable. I kid you not, in the morning, it's shining, in the afternoon, hail, in the night, it's cold and windy. So I would say just keep that in mind. Okay, we do have hot days, but most of the time it's cold. Right now it's cold and it has been raining for some days, and then it's like as if it snowed yesterday, but then it did not snow, and everybody is just very confused. So I would say keep in mind the weather, and although you can come in, of course, when you enter the country, you will shop for clothes, so you will buy cardigans. But I would say in this country, always carry a jacket. Even if it is sunny, I always carry a jacket, just because the weather can just switch up. Also, when you're coming into a new place, you're going to experience a bit of culture shock. I know I did, right? For things they are done differently. For example, in Nigeria, there's such emphasis on respecting elders. Here, they don't really care about that. Like, they don't care about they don't care about calling them uncle, auntie, Mr., Mrs. They will tell you don't do that. To be honest, they don't even really care about massa. They will tell you, my lecturers, they tell us we should call them by their name. So you expect that. So I would say, and even food-wise, the food here is very different. I cook more Nigerian food. I cannot eat this food for the life of me.
Our guys have to learn how to cook before traveling.
Yes, please. And learn how to make basic things. For example, learn how to make like stew, like chicken stew or meat stew or fish stew. Know how to boil rice. Know how to make vegetable soup if you like vegetable. Know how to make beans and gari. In UK, like I'm so lucky. We have a lot of African shops because a lot of Nigerians are here. So trust us to make our mark. So we have a lot of African shops. So there's provision made available. So if you really need Nigerian food, which I want to believe everybody will, if they come here, there's that provision is made available. Okay, so you can actually have your Nigerian food. But I'll say yes, know how to cook, and there's YouTube for you. So learn. You have no excuse, right? But then when you come here, I will also say put in mind that even though this is a new place, have a bit of curiosity. So I would say step out of your comfort zone as well. Okay, step out of your comfort zone to try new things, to learn new things. Okay, to know, try and have an open mind. That when I came to UK, one thing I had to develop fast is an open mind. Okay, if not, you're going to find yourself unhappy, miserable, and you're going to find yourself judging people a lot, right? And I'm not saying that we should now say bad here is not good here. No, I'm saying have an open mind to things. Keep your standards, okay? Be true to who you are, but have an open mind to things, just so that you don't miss out and so that you don't shoot yourself in the leg, right? But yeah, the weather here is very different. To be honest, I feel like I've experienced 4 weathers at once in a day. So it's so funny, but I'll say just come. Like it's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be enjoyable. And trust me, even though a lot of people say, oh, well, they want to run away from Nigeria, you will miss Nigeria. I don't know if it's just me, but me, I miss Nigeria. I miss our food. I miss my family. I miss the hot sun. I miss Nigeria so much. A lot of people don't miss Nigeria. And if you don't miss Nigeria, that's very bad. You have to be a patriotic citizen. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you pretty much. Okay, so let's talk a bit about capital and expenses, like spending money and making money. And for example, if you're working, right, because most students when they get there, unlike in Nigeria, although the Nigerian, would I say society, because the government doesn't exactly have a better structure for you. You are taught how to start making money, and fend for yourself early, right? And I believe that's the same thing we have there. You have to like work while schooling, right?
Yeah.
How is it like there? Because I've had instances where people would say that okay, you have to be cooking for yourself because buying food is very expensive. You can spend like, let's say, maybe $2 or €5 on buying one meal, and meanwhile to make that same amount, you must have worked maybe a day or two to sort of something like that. Whereas in Nigeria, on average, mama puts food, you can spend pretty much 300, 400 now, get a stable meal, and you're okay. Do you get what I'm saying? And that doesn't even translate up to a dollar. Do you get what I'm saying? So how does it work over there in terms of making of money and spending of money for a student?
Okay. Now, using myself as an example, right? I have a tier 4 student visa, and on my visa, I have a work limit. I can work, but I can only work for 20 hours per week. That is my work limit, right? And I would say there's a bit of truth to how food is costly here, especially if you are converting it to naira subconsciously. You'll be like, ah, that's very expensive. But I promise you, when you get used to the standard of living here, and when you get used to the fact that you're working with pounds, it's not as expensive. That being said, I would still strongly advise that you learn how to cook and you know how to meal plan, because there's a bit of truth. What do I mean? Fast food is cheap here. For a good amount. For example, if you go to McDonald's, you can get a savers meal. One burger is 0.99, and one pack of fries 0.99. So basically, you're spending £2 for a meal. If you convert it to naira, that's a lot of money. But if you are working as a like you are in UK, that's £2 compared to whatever you are making. So yes, fast food is cheap to a good amount. And then to be honest, sometimes I notice that in the stores, organic food is actually quite expensive. And if you in the UK, you know, because this country is so developed, there are actually range of organic food. There's the one that they manipulated for it to grow. There's one that grows fresh on it without anything. So there are different kinds. So I would say yes, it is expensive and it's not. But to be honest, if you sit down and if you think about it, if you can actually pull yourself together to use that money that you use to buy McDonald's in a week or in 2 weeks, if you put that money together and use it to buy groceries, you are actually better off. Speaking of from personal experience, it's than to spend money all the time. Because what I used to think is, oh, you know, it's just £5 today, £5 tomorrow. Do £5 for 30 days. It's going to add up, okay? And that's going to be a lot of money on food. So it's cheap for now, but if you calculate, if you look at your bank statement, that's a lot of £5 that could have been put to something else, you know. And so yes, I'll say some people here, they do have to work, and then there's some people that are supported, you know, maybe by their parents or by some other relative and everything. And here, for my university for sure, they have a place called like a career hub. Okay, so if you need a job as a student, you can actually go there and tell them that, hello, I'm a student and I need a job, and they can get you a job. And then of course you can look for a job for yourself, or by as well as you are like as a student nurse. I work as a healthcare assistant, so also with the government, with NHS, and I work in hospitals. So I was told about that job by a friend, right? And so yes, you can tell people, you can look for it yourself, and the school university can provide jobs for you. I would just say the most important thing is please work within your hours. There are people that don't work within their hours, and I can't really judge them because there are people that are paying their school fees here, right? There are people that are paying their house rent here, and I know that that's a lot to deal with. So I would just tell you, if possible, please work within your hours, because if you think they're not watching, I promise you they are watching. Okay, they know what you're doing. They're not coming for you, but they know what you're doing. I was so surprised when my friend got a tax return for a job that we did just once. They know everything you're doing. They are just not coming for you. So please stay out of trouble and work within your hours as much as you can. But yeah, that's just what I would say when it comes to finances, living abroad.
Thank you. Thank you, Faith. Let's talk about accommodation, right? Student accommodation. How does it work over there? In Nigeria, right? Which you probably may be familiar with. You know, you can get, campus hostel, right? Which is usually based on balloting, not accessible to all students, right? So, and if you're not able to get that, that is usually on the subsidized level. If you're not able to get that, you have to then, rent an apartment outside of the campus, right? And which is always on the high side. I mean, it's literally as though you are paying for a house of your own that you want to, lease. You get, some students pay as much as, 400,000 naira, and that's the same fee that, some people who are getting married are paying for their rent, so you can imagine, how high it is. How is it over there, for you folks, studying over there? Is it that this campus has made accommodation provisions for you people, or is it that you can also, rent a place outside there, but at a more affordable price, or how does it work?
Okay, that's a good question. The school has accommodation, but not for everybody. Honestly speaking, it's first come, first serve. So if you know you want to stay on campus, you will have to have notified them earlier because many people are fighting for your room. So that's one thing I'll say about on campus. And then I stayed on campus when I first came in 2020, but now I'm living off campus. And I would say it really depends, expenses wise. Now there's a common thing here because I speak to a lot of students. So there's a common accommodation system we have off campus. So people will build, like, let's say a 5-bedroom house, then they will rent out the rooms to students, right? So there's that as well. So you can get a relatively good room, even though from the people I spoke to, they said that they have increased the price, and before you can get a good room for £450 per month. So yes, so basically you are in a house, it's a proper house. You have access to the kitchen, you have access to the bathroom, and then you have a room. So it's for £450 per month. And living on campus is expensive, right? But compared to my current living situation, they are almost the same. It's like there's a difference between like hundreds of pounds. It's not really drastic just because of the house I am living in and where I live, right? But on campus, I'll tell you that there are many perks. For example, if you're living on campus, you don't have to worry about bills. I pay my bills. You don't have to worry about bills. You don't have to worry about Wi-Fi. You don't have to worry about water. You don't have to worry about all those things. That's none of your business. Like, if there's a problem, go and report to the school. They'll fix it right away. But off campus, that's kind of a responsibility. However, off campus as well, there are some landlords that take care of the bills. So the rent you are paying for your bills as well, right? Just like in the house I'm living now, I pay my rent, then I pay my bills separately. But then there are some landlords that in that £400 that you're paying, or in that £500 that you're paying, your bill is included, okay? So I'll say it really depends, and it depends on what you want and what you can afford. The area I live is honestly a bit expensive. You won't get it, like one room, we're looking at least £500 per month for a room here in off campus, right? And then there are less upscale places, like other towns close by that they charge less. There are places that can take you for 300, 350, right? But it's just that the location I'm in, it's rather expensive. So it really depends on you and what you want and what you can afford, basically. But off campus has its perks, and on campus has its perks too. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Thank you. A few more questions and we're done. Number one, I would like to ask again is, can you walk us through the procedure for applying to school in the US or in the UK? Like, what is the first thing you have to do, down to the last thing you have to do?
Okay, so if you are like me, if you are not like me, because mine was very last minute, so I'm going to be very organized and try my best. I would say look at a range of schools, right? Maybe look at 3 to 5 schools that you are considering going towards, right? Then look at what their requirements, what they need from you, because every university will state what they need from you. When you see what they need from you, then start working on those things, right? So before I even got my visa, I actually wrote my IELTS exam first, So I was just start looking at things that would take quite some time, right? So I did my IELTS exam, I got my transcript ready, then I got my proof of financial support. So I started putting all those documents together. First and foremost, actually, you have to apply to the school. When you find out what they need from you, then apply. There's a place to apply. They will tell you apply now, so you all register, or you send them an email. Hello, my name is Faith. I want to study nursing, September 2023. So when they do that, they'll say, okay, congratulations, welcome. Then they'll give you a list of documents and a list of things to bring. Then you can start working from there. So like I said, I went to get my transcript from the last 3 years of high school. I wrote my IELTS exam, that English testing exam. Of course, I already had my WAEC result with me, so that was ready. I had my birth certificate that was ready. Then I went to, I started applying for the visa. And of course, through an agency. Like again, I said, get an agency to help you, to guide you through all this. So I applied for my visa through an agency. Then I waited for a response, and thank God they called me back. Then I did 2 interviews. Okay. Then yes, and then I got my visa. Then I also had my collection letter on my way to UK. So when I came to the UK airport, I showed them my collection letter. I also showed my university my collection letter. Then they gave me my original visa. And then, yeah, I'm here today. That's basically what I can say. I would just say things like the exam, I would say work on it ahead of time, okay? That's why I said first know where you are going towards and know what you want to study, because exam takes some time. I remember I spent like 3 to 4 months preparing for my exam. So I would say get your exam. Then documents that are not easy to get, go get those ones as well. Then start your visa application. So yeah, that's just basically how I'll walk you through it.
Okay, thank you very much, Faith. One final question, and we call it a day. What would be your counsel, to every undergraduate student or any prospective undergraduate student out there, seeking, better opportunities, in schools abroad, but perhaps they just feel like they don't have the means, they don't have the resource to pull it off, to make things happen. Would you say they should apply first, and trust God, or what would be your counsel, to our listeners right now?
Okay, so because I am not just a Christian, but a practicing Christian, so I would always mention God first, and I would say bring God into all this. Okay, take your plans to God. God, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. How can I do it? And if you have a relationship with God, trust that He will speak back to you. Okay, and apart from that, let also sit down and look at your situation. Okay, so for example, now people with financial the people that need financial support, right? If they don't have anybody that can help them, there are people. I remember my dad. I will use my dad as an example because that's one person I can that told. I mean, he's my father. He told me a story, right? He was able to get a loan from the bank, and then he was able to pay. So that's one option. I know there are people that they were able to work. I know people that worked for some time, gathered some money, right? Just transported themselves here, and then they continued to build up from where they were. So, for example, let's say you're coming here and your school fees is £10,000. First of all, you can arrange for instrumental pay. So let's say after they break it down to you, they say, okay, bring £3,000 first and come, right? I would say work for that £3,000. Okay, work for that £3,000, bring that £3,000, apply them, come here, and then settle your accommodation, get a job, and then you can start working for it. To be honest, going abroad, in my opinion, it takes a lot of faith. That's just what I would personally say. For me, it took a lot of faith because I didn't think it was going to happen. Even though I didn't even know what I wanted to do with myself, I tell God, I will never get over the fact that I'm actually here because this was not even part of the plan. It takes a lot of faith to do it. And I see my contemporaries and how they are actually hustling because they are bearing all those responsibilities alone. So I would say, don't shortchange yourself. If you can do it, then you can do it. If you can't, then stay back. I just want you to know that wherever you are, joy is from within. Okay, even as much as I won't lie, Nigeria has a lot of issues. I still encourage people that are there to not look at Nigeria as a miserable place all the time. If not, you're not going to get anything good. Okay, because I have siblings that are in Nigeria and I see my brother is living his best life in his university there. So I would say, if wherever you are, just try and find joy with it. And if you have goals and prospects, sit down, look at it. Look at your goals. Okay, what can be achieved now? What can't be achieved now? And work towards achieving it and pray. And when you come here, please have an open mind, okay? Have an open mind. The sky is your beginning. There's so much to learn, so much to do. Don't be limited by your circumstances at all. Don't be limited by your circumstances. And just go for it. And ask yourself, what if I win? So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Faith. This has really been an engaging session. It has really been a very insightful one for myself, for the audience, So for every one of us who are planning to apply abroad and move ourselves down there, we'll start the process of faith henceforth. Thank you very much for doing this. We are very grateful. We may not have any gifts to give you right now, but I know God Almighty is gonna bless you. for doing this for the young people who are listening. Finally, Faith has actually, would I say promise, or she's decided to make available a website or, email address or contact details of people who can help you out, if you need to make some inquiries about your application, or if you just want to apply and you don't know where to start from, or you want to know how to go about it. Yes, there are people who can help you out. So we'll drop that in the comment section. Please do well to check it out. And thank you very much, everyone. Till next week, have a lovely time. Bye-bye.
So much. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you have been blessed by this topic, please share with your friends and also drop reviews on the community page or our email. You can also share with us burdens on your heart or topics you would want us to talk about. Feel free to give to promote the spread of this podcast by partnering with us on our website at allthingsdenpodcast.disha.page. Thank you for your constant support. See you next week.